All right, folks, welcome back to round 2 of center radiator install, or middle radiator, third radiator, whatever you want to call that. For those of you that have clicked on this one first for the radiator install and don't know how to get the bumper off, click up there. I'll throw in the first video where I removed this bumper set up yesterday. For the rest of you, the procedure today, I'll show you shortly here. I'm going to build the new radiator. I got that from Suncoast Parts, and it was the OEM metal radiator kit. I think it was somewhere in the region of $400. In order to have ventilation coming off the back of the new radiator, air damming it down, I need to cut these holes, which go right here. As you can see, hopefully you can make out the rectangles. I don't know that it matters to tape them off, particularly in my case where it is not inconceivable that I'll be replacing this bumper at some point. So I think probably I'm going to be a little bit more gung-ho than others might be here. But I'm going to drill some pretty big pilot holes in the corners and then take a, I'm not even sure what the tool is called. I'll think of it and I'll show it to you. And we'll just cut the rest out. So we'll start with this one. Make sure it's a solid strategy. Let's put this wood under here. And yeah, let's see what happens. Okay. All right, well that went swiftly. Not sure painlessly. Let's see here. Oscillating tool. There it came to me, I knew it would. So I'm going to try and go around the edges here with this oscillating tool. And I want to do it well, don't misunderstand me. But at the same time, nobody's going to see it for the most part. Well, let's just say went a little bit over there, but you know, good enough. I'll just clean up those edges, bang out these other 4. You don't need to see that. Well, as you can see, it isn't perfect, but it doesn't really have to be. We have the ability for air to escape. Check that box, moving right along. We need to take off this crash bar here, 16 mils. Hopefully you can see here, up here, this one's probably a little more buried, but there's this is where the radiator hoses are going to attach to the middle radiator unit here. So there's one here and one over here. And I'm going to flush those out into this very clean bucket. So if we do lose a ton of coolant, I can replace it. And then the new hoses will just slide right on in. To get that out, I'm hoping I can squeeze one of these in. I may have to get a needle nose, but I think they may be a little stubborn. The only other thing I didn't show you yesterday is I did remove, I can't remember the orientation here exactly, but the horn was basically sitting in here. There's a 113 millimeter nut there to release that. You're gonna want that out the way. And then keep all of this stuff well and truly out of the way for this procedure, because obviously there's liquid flowing. So that's the plug. I'm hoping you can see it based on what I can see here in the viewfinder. So first there's a metal clip around the outside. I'm gonna remove that and carefully as always, D-ray carefully, of course. So that's that. And that clip will go on again later, so do not lose it. And now for the part where it gets a little messy. So I do have this bucket placed right here. It's on wheels, so I can move it as necessary, but there are holes here and here where there's a really good chance it comes out of. So let's see what happens. There we go. As suspected, not a ton of coolant has come out, but we will, probably one of the bigger tasks in this, and I know this from when I refilled coolant in this before, is putting the coolant back in and avoiding airlock or air gaps, air pockets. So we'll have to cross those bridges when we get to them. We'll also need more coolant in there just to fill up the new radiator anyway. So yeah, watch this space. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna grab a t-shirt here, set that onto here so I can start the other side. So you'll probably get a bit of view on this one. And I'll probably be panicking more because I suspect we're gonna see a bit more drama. So again, this little metal clip comes off. It's not super tight, but I'm using a pick to clear it. Put that in my little collection jar of goodies. Then so that was fun. Must have created some extra magical pressure here. So now we're coming out of both sides at the same time. Yeah. Good planning on that one. The only good news is there's something of a towel there, but now you know. Don't remove your buckets. Again, net, not a ton has come out here, so I'll just show you that, and we'll move on to assembling the new radiator. Alright, so like I mentioned before, this is the kit I got from Suncoast Parts, not sponsored at all, but if you want to shop there, feel free. This is the radiator itself. I guess this is probably the part number in there. Not sure if that cleared up enough for you. So this is the backing piece here. All the, it orients this way. It drafts off here so the air can flow down, which is why I cut the holes in the bumper. Here's where your little hoses snip through, and then all the mounting points already exist on the car. So I think if you have maybe a Tiptronic or PDK, you may already have this radiator. So I think that's why they're so purpose-built already for this radiator. You get the air unit, so it can draw air in. Bracket to mount on, and you'll see when we mount it up a little bit. You have two hoses, some hardware, and then these clips. I'm not sure if we're going to need these bracketing clips or not. We'll find out in due course. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build this out. Last piece, it does come with a new smiley face. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, but I am thinking about trying to put a mesh over here. All right, so this guy doesn't come with instructions, so I'm going to make up the batting order as I go. So right side, so as you're sitting in the car, this is the passenger side. And then you use these white dots, so I did that wrong. So the white dots determine where you connect to the new radiator. So again, white dot here. And then you can see, hopefully here, there's this metal slot. That's what has to line up with these metal brackets that sit on here. So I'm gonna find my pick and put it in there. Let's see if I can go fingernails first. Yeah, it's not so bad. Oops. So I was going to grease these up, but frankly, they didn't put up much of a fight. So then, once it's in the slot, just connect that in, and hopefully you heard that comfortable snap. That one's in there. Okay, so that's connected there. I'm hoping now it's not too much of a drama to get this backing piece on, which arguably could have gone on first, but yep, no great shakes there. So again, this is the correct orientation. Now we don't want to secure this in until we get the rubber mouth inserted. There are these little tabs, ears on either side of the unit where you can set that down. I did find a way to set this in here over the table without these hoses being in the way. So now we're in a spot where we can set this in. So make sure your rubber insert here is over the lip of the bottom of the top of the radiator as it will be mounted. And then you should be able to just slide this on. And then let's get these guys. Oh yeah, so I lied, we're at 10 mils. So I'm gonna just hand tighten these in and then I'll fasten them up here in a second. All right, so the unit completed has a lot of stickers on, which I think I'll remove. You got your little mouth here that will feed in. You've got under here where the air will come out the bottom. Sorry, I hope you can see all that. And then the hoses sitting on each corner. So I think in a perfect world, this would be 2 sets of hands, but as usual, my cries for help fell on deaf ears. So I'm gonna lift the unit up here. You can see it sits nicely. There's brackets on the bottom, which have feet. We'll roll it in here, connect it up top. But I want to get these hoses in so we can get it fully seated. Don't forget you need your little magic holder clippies here to secure them in, and then we should be good. I'm not sure how great you'll be able to see this, but I think you get the gist. So apologies, I have to do a quick voiceover here. My microphone actually failed. This is the attachment point, as you can tell. 2 bolts up top, 2 nuts at the bottom. There is a third one in the center, but I didn't have the right size hardware for that, and it felt pretty secure without it, so I carried on anyway. And then attaching the hoses either side, and then the clips in addition. I think I would advise you to just secure all 4 points of the radiator and then attach the hoses. I was concerned there wouldn't be enough room or it would get too cramped. That would not have been the case. So pretty straightforward and very much the easy part of the project. This is where you got to get that coolant refilled. Now I do have a Venturi filler. I'm going to put a video in the information bar at the top if you want to understand this better, but I'm going to try and get away with just cheating it by burping the system. So I'm going to top up the reservoir here in the engine bay. I'm going to see how it sits back here, tighten everything down, and then turn the engine over and just let it idle up to temperature, and hopefully the thermostat opens and lets the liquid run forwards, and then I can just keep kind of slowly putting it in without it pulling in air. Now, whether or not the amount of air in that front radiator is too much to get burped back through the system is the big question. It probably is, but naivete rules the day, so I'm going to try and fill it up. It does. This is the G40 is the key formula there. This is pre-diluted. I do not need to dilute this. The same I think is true on the Porsche branded one, so you can use either just fine, whatever helps you sleep at night. It does say Porsche there. So how could that possibly be wrong? So I think you're going to be able to see this even from this camera, but we're about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches left in the reservoir. So like I said, I'm probably overfilling it in the hopes that it draws through into the front radiators and then that center radiator ultimately. See, I have this little burp doohickey open. So this is closed, this is open. This is supposed to allow air to come out again. Alright, forgive me. I'm going handheld with you. So it says check coolant level already, and then I've got this turned on so the coolant's not too hot yet. How can I get you out of this reflection? So 115. So I'm going to turn it off, see if I can open it up already and top it up in case it has pulled through. You're getting that nasty flashing thing over there, so no huge surprise. We expected to have this some kind of issue. Alright, as much as I told you not to do this, I know the temperature's not brutally hot, so let's see if we can get this open. So let's see, is it drawn down? Yeah, it's drawn down in the fill tank there. Let's see how it looks in the reservoir. Like I said, go super slow. Until it's up to temp, it shouldn't be too bad. I say that, and it could spill over. Although, if it's low, I doubt they'll do that. Alright, we're live. So let's see if we can see how much has gone down. Man. Can't see, but that thing's super low. So, let's top it up some more. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to leave this filler off. Hope it doesn't burp up and actually draws down. But hope is not a strategy. That's noisy, but please indulge me. I want these fans to turn on. But for reference, while I was waiting for this all to heat up, still have the air breather open. I still have this back cap open. It's just a skosh over max. We'll see what happens with that. 2 quarts came out, and today, so far, I've replaced 3.5 quarts probably from the what I put in this back end. So that might be sufficient to fill up the radiators up front. I don't want to get ahead of myself there, but we are maxed out here. When I did turn the engine on the first time and it had that little flutter panic telling me that everything was blowing off, there was a substantial amount of coolant had gone from the reservoir. I'm assuming it just flooded towards the front. Whether it made it into that third radiator yet, I'm not quite sure. So, still comfortably at a max line here. We're at about 180 degrees there. I do still have the fan on low at high temp, hoping that we're going to open up and the fans will kick in, and therefore I know the thermostat's opened up and we'll let the coolant flow throughout the entire cooling system. Well, still no fans, but still holding steady here. 185. You know what? For now, I'm going to turn it off. Fans may kick in a minute anyway. I'm gonna let it all cool down completely, open it back up and see where we're at. I just want to make sure the level's doing what it's supposed to do. All right, so the next part of the project, we're just gonna take this mouth out, put in this fresh, shiny new one, and it's just gonna sit in here, hopefully like this. Should be pretty straightforward. So, you wanna start plucking these tabs out here?
Okay, can I try?
Yeah, so you see that? So do that all the way around. Some of them are going to go back in. And then we're going to lift that piece out.
As hard as you can to get
Yeah,
it out.
just, yeah, you've got that first one. Keep going.
This one's a little tougher.
Okay. You got it.
Let's try these actually fit.
Slide your finger and then twist it. There you go. See that? And then just keep going. So I do realize that the light's not brilliant. It's pretty bright out. I did put some sunglasses on the lens here, but just going to put this back together. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's going to be largely the reverse process. If I run into any snags or snafus along the way, I'll let you know. I am curious about getting this flimsy little bugger tied into the bumper, but I'm sure you'll see me wrestle with that. I did refresh the Velcro on the strips here, the trim strips. And then putting the lights back in should be plug and play. So we'll play it by ear. I'll just have to watch out for the connectors Don't forget about your little ambient sensor down here going into the cowls here for the air intakes. So the trick to the headlights is just getting these notches that live on the unit set up on the track. And once you get it on the track, and as long as the actuator is flat here, it should slide in. So steady as she go. Get these on the tracks. All right, and there it is. All right, so we're at the max line right now. I did top it up just after I opened it up a few minutes ago. There wasn't a lot to put in there. Maybe from the minimum to the maximum line was about what I had to put in there. Let's see if I can get you in there. It's gonna be hard to see down there. So I'm gonna turn the engine on. We'll plug in the cob, and we'll see how it's feeling, see if it draws down any more coolant. All right, so we're at temp, no alarms. Sadly, no fans yet. So maybe I have to take it for a quick drive close by. All right, folks, that is it. Third radiator is installed. No spikes yet on any of the temperature stuff. It looks like we're saving 20 to 25 degrees over not having the center radiator, and we'll do a minor discount on that because I did clean up obviously the side radiators while we're in there, which could have had some impact on their efficacy yesterday. But either way, I think it's undeniable that that third radiator is offering a lot of extra help and a lot of extra cooling. No great surprises, but the proof was in the pudding, and you just had your pudding. So anyway, thanks for checking in. Appreciate you liking and subscribing if that's your thing. And if not, be memorable, be well, and maybe I'll see you in another video soon. Bye now.